Well, hello there, I'm Détroit. It's drawing time, meaning I'm drawing with ink in my sketchbook to make something cool and a little bit abstract. Sometimes I draw with the pencil, but that's a rare thing. Usually my Thursday videos are ink on paper, and the Sunday videos are digital drawings or paintings. That's in case you didn't know. Hey, another thing you probably didn't know is that you can subscribe by clicking on the red button below the video. Pretty cool, right? I just found out about this. It's probably in the title, but what I'm drawing now is a city map. This city doesn't exist, of course, but I'm drawing it anyway. It's a bunch of small geometric shapes making a pretty dense pattern on the page, so right in my alley. That sentence sums up pretty much all my ink drawings. I love doing that sort of things. I started this drawing in the top left corner rather than in the middle of the page, which is good. I start in the middle too often and then I scrub my hand all over it and the lines are messed up. So why do I start in the middle sometimes, you might ask? Well, when I'm not sure of a pattern, like I don't know if I'm feeling it or not, I'm tempted to stop it sooner, or when I reach a shape that I find interesting. So if I start in the middle, I can stop whenever I want. But if I start in the corner, I have to fill the page. I can't leave a page half full, it doesn't look good after that. When my sketchbook is complete, I want only center drawings and a good-looking book. When my sketchbook is complete, I will definitely make a video flipping through all of it. I know some of you have watched a lot of my videos, but there are definitely a few surprises in there. I don't make a video out of every drawing I make in there. Sometimes I draw without a camera and then it's only posted on Instagram. If that doesn't make you want to follow my Instagram page, which is at d3_sd, I don't know what will. There is a big difference to me between when I draw on camera and when I don't. The pacing is different. Because my camera stops recording after 30 minutes, I can't draw for a long time. When I'm not filming, it sometimes happens that I don't take my pen off the paper for like 2.5 hours straight. And the opposite is also true. Sometimes I take breaks every 5 minutes, but it's such a hassle to turn off and on the camera, make sure the settings are okay, etc, etc. Unconsciously, I also found that I draw much faster on camera. It's probably because I know the more work I'll have to do with the camera, the longer it takes. A 2-hour long drawing means at least 4 different recordings. It means emptying the SD card at least once, and most importantly, charging the camera battery at least once. I could buy a bigger SD card, but I don't want to pay because that's the only use I have for it, like this camera. And the one I have now would become useless, but I could do it. What I really need is another battery, or better yet, another battery with an external charger. I can only charge the battery when it's in the camera and plugged in right now. It takes about 2 hours to fully charge and I can only use it for an hour and a half before it's empty again. So this probably makes me draw a bit faster. Some of my drawings on camera are like 25 minutes long when I'm sure I would have done the same drawing in 35 had I not been filming. Is it for the better or the worse? I'm not sure. It depends on the pattern, I guess. When the pattern is really abstract and what I would call shaky, it all depends on the rhythm of my hand to make those little shakes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you'll have an example in the later part of the video when I fill in the buildings and the roof. The pattern to fill them is random, shaky and all mechanical. There's no thought process unless I feel like I've done the same thing 3 times in a row and then I change it a bit. For other patterns, like drawing the buildings, it's slower anyway. These patterns I can't rush. Like this city. The whole point is that the buildings are separated and that makes streets. If I go too fast, I'll end up messing up a single line and it will make 2 shapes connect and that's the end of that road. I don't want that, so I need to slow down. Or at least I don't want that anywhere. Only near the old town center will I make it purposefully. Same for the neighborhoods. The bigger shapes formed by the shapes. If I want them to make sense, I need to think about it, and in this case I can't do it mindlessly and mechanically with a twitch of my wrist and fingers. I didn't list it as a thing that slows me down before, but of course, depending on the type of pattern, my assurance wavers a bit sometimes. If I'm trying a certain pattern for the first time, I need to be careful, either to not ruin it or to not let it morph into another pattern I'm more familiar with. This one is fine, I didn't have that sort of trouble with it. It's really nice to complete a page like this. It took me almost exactly 2 hours. Like 2 hours and 2 minutes to be precise. It's a bit longer than the usual drawings I do because I completed the page. It's something that I don't do that often. It is so satisfying when the page is full like that. There is a thing about doing a full page after a few smaller drawings. Not to put shade on the smaller drawings, but I feel like even if a big one is a bit less good, the fact that it's dense and filling the page is satisfying in a bigger way. It is not necessarily because of this that I don't always fill the pages though. Sometimes I just don't feel like it, or I don't like a pattern enough, or I'm running out of time. Or I'm running out of place. That too can happen, believe it or not. I think this is a European city. It's based part of the layout on what I know of the layout of Paris. Except, well, a lot less dense and also much smaller. It could be any European city for all I know. The center is organized in a circular fashion with buildings whose orientation don't necessarily make sense. That's the old city. The old buildings who may be older than some of your countries. Americans, I'm talking to you. After the center, whose streets are so close they sometimes even touch each other, we have the younger part of the city. Up top, the buildings are in a grid layout. On the side, the buildings have an interesting shape sometimes, and they're bigger. Near the river, on the south bank, there's an industrial city. Finally, we have the 2 islands, the few parks here and there, and the remaining forests, the only few bits of nature that have remained in the city. I really like this drawing. It's a killer for the rest, but the result is worth it, isn't it? Like, comment, subscribe, blah blah blah. Do check my Instagram though, it's almost pitiful that there's twice as many of you here when I have twice as many drawings there. Tell me what I should draw next and I'll see you in a few days. Bye!